Uh,
All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm really excited to have our latest expert come and join us today. And as I've always shared, with you is that I only bring individuals in this Zoom room that I believe, right, will impact you in a positive way because they've impacted me in a positive way. So every time I bring an expert, right, it's always my first 15 seconds is this person is going to wow you. And you may not be sure of how they're going to impact you yet, but I guarantee that they will, and their words and their message will. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest today, because she comes all the way from Ireland, and it's dinner time and she's got plans. So I want to make sure we get right to it. But Joanne Hession, I met her. She was part of my mastermind group, right? So a lot of you who are listening in, to the replay or here live, you're part of our mastermind group. And so that's where I met her in this results high-end mastermind group. And, Joanne, we were encouraged to reach out to everybody in the group, one-on-one. And, I'm not a people person. I like people, but I don't really, I'm not that one-on-one guy. And, Joanne reaches out, says, oh, yeah, you're doing stuff in schools. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, why don't we find some time to talk? I'm like, all right. So I'm driving, I think, to Asheville, everybody. So it's a 4-hour drive. And I was like, well, I'm going to be on the road at 5 a.m. And that kind of works for her schedule. So I'm driving to Asheville and we're, talking through Zoom, I think it was, which was crazy, right? To even think about it. And she asked me about what I'm doing in schools. She goes, yeah, well, I'm kind of doing some stuff in schools too. Because I'm really trying to transform my country. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Well, we're teaching values and leadership, and I was like, well, we really need to make an impact. So I'm doing, I started a nonprofit after 25 years as a business owner to just make an impact. And I actually literally pulled over everybody. Because I just couldn't. I said, whoa, you got to back up. Like, tell me more about this. And so she's going to share her story with you. But after I got off the call with her, I had a couple hours of drive, and all I could think about is, are you doing enough? Like your dream isn't big enough. And I remember talking to you about this, maybe at the next mastermind session. I was like, you just got me thinking. Like, I thought I was making it. Well, she's like, well, you are making an impact, in her amazing accent. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I have the vision that you have. And so, just this past year, she got to go up on stage at the International Maxwell Conference, and John talked about her and, told a story how she didn't have time for John Maxwell and the group to wait to transform her country. She just started to do it herself. So the reason why I asked her to come and speak to you all is, one, she has an amazing, an amazing story of personal transformation. She's a growth, right? She's a growth, guru. But her, we're all trying to do something at our own schools and our own communities, but we don't always know how. Well, she has created a strategy that is working. And I wanted you to hear what she has done, because I see a lot of times, hey, what's a cheap and easy way to improve morale? She's going to share it with you. and it has nothing to do with gifts, and it has nothing to do with knowing somebody's favorite, color, except on maybe a relational level. So I'm going to stop talking and bring Joanne Hession in. And thank you so much for, taking your family time to be with us. And I'm just so proud to got to know you. I'm glad you reached out that day. And I'm just honored. So thanks, and welcome to our inner circle here, Joanne.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tom, for that lovely introduction. And thank you all. Lovely to see you, those listening to the recording, and those of you that are here today as well. So look, it's an absolute pleasure. I'll share anything with you. So what I'm hoping to do over the next little while that we have is that I will present a little bit on my journey and a little bit about Lift, and tell you what we're doing in Ireland to transform the country. But I really want to leave time for questions so that you can ask me anything at all that you'd like. I will give you anything that I have. So let me share with you my screen, and I'm going to talk you through a couple of slides and just tell you a little bit about my journey. So That's my co-founder that is in the photo there, that is on the slide there. Sonia, and my brother David is also involved too. So we're all involved in Lift. But I'll tell you, I'll go back a little bit more because I'm 52. So I've got a lot of years behind me. So I need to tell you a little bit. Look, I was mad about business. I was always setting up things. That's UCD. It's our top university here, or one of our top universities, and it's where I went to. But even before UCD, I was always setting up businesses. I was that kid in school that was selling jewelry. It was rubbish jewelry, but I managed to sell it to people and make a few cents and pence, make a little bit of money so that it would pay my way as I went along. So I was always setting up in businesses. I set up a cleaning business when I was at college, but I only put leaflets into houses that didn't have dogs and didn't have children. So I needed to look in the windows beforehand and see, so that I didn't have to clean houses that were really messy. So, but that also got me through college. So that was good. But I loved business. I loved everything. I loved everything about it. My dad was a great guy in business, and really is still a great mentor to me. And I thought business was going to be what my life was all about. I went from college into EY, who you'll know, to do accounting and become an accountant. But I did a U-turn out of there because, I was in there, I thought this is just going to take me way too long. So I did a U-turn and went back to work for the university for a while. But Ireland at the time, this was in the 1990s, and Ireland at the time started to really heat up, in terms of the economy. We started to get really good. We started to make a lot of money within our economy, and everybody was talking about money, and everybody around me that was to do with business was talking about money. And I thought, I thought business had a purpose more than money. And so I decided that I would leave business, and I headed out with one of our Irish aid agencies, and I applied to be a volunteer when I was 25. So I applied and just thought, maybe the business world is not for me. Maybe I need to just leave it and go and check out the charity world. And that's what I did. I was posted, so I went from living with my parents at home here to being sent to the Rwandan border. It's where the little red circle is there in Africa. So I was sent to the Rwandan border. You might remember there was genocide in Rwanda, absolutely horrendous genocide in the 1990s. And I was sent to the refugee camps that were just on the border with Tanzania. This here, next photo, looks like a car park that's here, but this is actually flying over one of the refugee camps. So we had 5 refugee camps in Concern Worldwide, with over 100,000 people in these camps that were basically would walk all their way, having had atrocious and tragic situations happen to them. They'd get to the border where we were, we'd hand them 4 poles and a plastic sheet, and they would set up home. So that's what you're looking at there. You're looking at the 4 poles and plastic sheets that do look like cars in a car park, but that's what became the refugee camp. So I went from a very sort of nice situation in Ireland to all of a sudden being landed in these refugee camps. Now, the good thing is I suppose if there is a good thing, the good thing is that we were allowed to set up an education program. So we started education for the primary school students, not for secondary school students. We weren't allowed by the government set up for secondary school, but we were for primary school students. And this, for me, I suppose, is where I was put in charge of the education project. I could speak French as well as English, and in Rwanda, they were speaking French, of course, and Rwandan. But this whole experience, not only did it show me how amazingly lucky I was to have been born in Ireland, which is a birth lottery, where you're born, that bit, but also it really showed me the power of education, and how living in a refugee camp where you have nothing but the clothes on your back, and sometimes even that can be stolen off you, your education is the only thing that can't be stolen. So, by us being able to educate a little bit, we couldn't steal anything that couldn't be stolen out of their heads once they had it. So I absolutely and 100% fell in love with what education could do for me and for other people. I had totally taken for granted the school I'd gone to, the college I'd gone to, the masters I'd done. I'd just totally taken it for granted before that. So it was a really good learning for me in many, many ways. So I came back from Concern. I was 27. I came back from Africa and I decided to start my own business. And the one on the left there, the Entrepreneurs Academy, is a business that I started when I was 27. It's a training company to help people to start their own business. So it was really a practical training, practical tools for people to start their own business. Around the same time, I also set up a consultancy company to help universities get top international accreditation. And those two businesses still exist. They're nearly 25 years old. Next year, they will be 25 years old. So I was really all about business. But about 5 years ago, I decided, it was time for me to do something else. I was doing a lot of leadership training, being invited in to do leadership training in the big corporates. And it kind of bothered me a little bit that the leadership work that I was doing, I sort of felt I should be doing it in schools, and I should be doing it in our not-for-profits, and I should be doing it in our charities and so on. So I decided to step out of my two businesses. One of my managers became CEO, and I set up Lift Ireland. And so, this was a big thing. I decided to work voluntary for Lift for 2.5 years, and it has a very big goal and vision that I'll fill you in just 1 minute. But you might say, look, why did you actually decide to set up an organization, which is all about leadership? Because that's what Lift is all about. It's about raising the level of leadership in our country. And it's really very simple for me. This is the reason why. All problems, big and small, all of them are caused by human behavior, or almost all of them, are caused by human behavior, whether that's at our kitchen table, in our classrooms, in our clubhouses, and in our workplaces. All problems are caused by human behavior. It causes stress, loneliness, disengagement, ineffective organizational cultures, and at its very worst, it causes scandals and unethical behavior. And for me in Ireland, Ireland is a country I absolutely love, love, love my country. But we have seen scandals and unethical behavior across every single sector of society, from education to sports to government to business, the finance sector, to church, to across. There isn't a sector that is untouched by some kind of poor human behavior. And as I think about this a number of years ago, it really bothered me, because I'd sort of think, hang on, Ireland, we have so much in comparison with, say, for example, being on the Rwandan border after a genocide. We have so much. We have good education, we have good healthcare, and all these other things. So what's happening here that we're not, that we still have this poor behavior happening? Wouldn't we think we'd know better? So I chatted to a lot of people and a lot of CEOs at the time, and I'd get two answers when I would bring this up in conversation. I'd get, the first answer would be, Joanne, we're not really that bad. We're not that bad, really. And and the second thing is, sure, what can we actually do about it? And in response to the first thing, we're not that bad. That's absolutely true. We're not that bad. Ireland is an amazing country. And if you haven't come yet, you have to come. I mean, it's safe here. The weather isn't that great, but apart from that, it's pretty good. But, we have a really good country here, but we're good with a small G, and we could be good with a big G. So when we really look back at ourselves, we need to have the maturity to say, actually, let's face it, guys, we have it pretty good here and we could be better. So that was the first thing in my response to people that said, oh, we're not that bad. And the second thing, my response to people that said, sure, what can we do about it? Well, that is what actually became Lift Ireland. So we decided to set up Lift in 2018, and our vision in Lift is to create positive change both in Ireland and by Ireland. So Tom, you're the by Ireland bit. So my link with you now is bringing and spreading the word to people outside of Ireland, which is great. But our vision is to create positive change. That's what we're all about. Our mission is one that we have stayed consistent with the beginning. We set a really big goal for ourselves, and our mission is to transform Irish society by enabling the development of leaders of character. We have a 10-year goal to reach 10% of the Irish population in 10 years. I'll be 58 when we're finished this. I started at 48, and we are running through the years at the moment. We're just finished coming to the end of year 4. But our goal is to reach 10% of the population with a really simple 8-part leadership group learning process that will create a ripple effect of impact and change. That all sounds very wordy, so I'm going to go into that in more. And if I don't, you need to ask me some questions so that we can really nail down exactly what it is that we're doing. So that's our mission. So what actually is LIFT? So LIFT stands for Leading Ireland's Future Together. We're looking at lifting the leadership in the whole country. And we have a process that uses a facilitator-guided roundtable with self-reflection focusing on 8 key leadership values that have been chosen by the people of Ireland. So we basically went out to the people of Ireland and we said, we want to raise the level of leadership in this whole country. So what do we do to raise the level of leadership? Well, first thing is that it was important that I didn't say, well, here's where we need to improve, because that's not my business to do it. So we actually went out to the people of Ireland and we got research done to ask, well, if we're going to lead better in this country, what do we need to get better at? And Ireland said, well, we need more listening and we need more positive attitude. We need more competence. We need more honesty and integrity. They're 2 different things. We need more dedication and determination. We need more respect. I mean, think about that in your country, in your state, in my country. You know, imagine if we had a country where people not only knew they were respected, but actually felt respected, every single person. Well, we certainly, it's not that people are very disrespectful or anything, but we would have a different country. So, you know, respect is really important. Ireland said we need more empathy and understanding, and we need more accountability. That's a big one for us, is holding ourselves accountable. We're pretty good at that, but holding other people accountable and being able to do it and not being cruel about it and, you know, absolutely killing the person, but doing it in a kind and respectful way. So they were the 8 areas that Ireland said, look, this is what we really need to look at. Now, we've added in since those 8, we do this research every year, but we've added in since those 8 some others that have started to come up high. Ireland is saying, well, fairness is really important. We need to see fairness in our society, in our businesses, across all our different institutions. Embracing difference, obviously diversity and inclusion, that's important. Resilience, that one came up during COVID. The research was showing we need more resilience. Sometimes it's hard to get out of bed in the morning. You know, it can be things like that, or it can be resilience to take on a massive, big task or project or whatever it might be. Cyber positivity is one that we've coined ourselves, which is we're using particularly in the schools, which is for the school students to be stopping and reflecting on their behavior online. In the last 24 to 48 hours, how have they been behaving online and what do they need to do to leave themselves a little bit better, and sustainability and more. So we've added more in, but the core 8 that are core to Ireland are the ones that we've stayed consistent on the whole way through. So how does it actually work? So an individual trains to become a LIFT facilitator. Now we can train 100 people, we could train 1,000 people, we can train, 30 people. So in a school, for example, we show videos that train the students to become facilitators with teachers and with principals and with staff. We spend a half day or about 6 hours with them to train them to become a LIFT facilitator. Then that person holds a round table. It's a small group that lasts about 35 to 45 minutes with 3 to 5 other people. So it's a really small session. And each week the group reflect on one of those leadership values. So the first week they look at listening, then positive attitude and so on, and they become better. We put them through a 5-step process as they're reflecting on the values, and they become better. That's what happens. Behavior change happens. So it's helping individuals to reflect on themselves, their own attitudes, behaviors, and decisions, so they can improve and lift and lead their families, their schools, their workplaces, and communities. So we're looking really at human behavior and how do we actually change it. Now, just before I show you this video that I'm going to show you on LIFT, the thing about it is that, and Tom, and I'm sure you've covered this loads of times, but it's worth saying again, behavior change is really hard. It's really, really hard. If it was easy, I would drink 2 liters of water a day. I'd exercise all the time and I'd eat loads of green vegetables because I know those things are really important for me. But behavior change is hard. So what LIFT does is LIFT helps us to change our behavior in a really easy way. It's a bit like going to the gym to strengthen your muscles and your behavior. But let me show you a video of the very first school that started with LIFT. and you can have a look at it here. It's about 6 minutes long. So let me show you this.
Because it is students being trained up as young leaders and then peer training up other students in the school, it's a lovely model. Within the school community, the LIFT program it's working with our students. So we, as a school, we're delivering to our TY and our secondary students. We're also working with our teachers who are leaders in the school as well. So they're also trained up to be leaders and they work with other colleagues as leaders. But also our parents are trained as leaders as well, and they are running as leaders locally as well in the actual community. It's nice to have a program that cuts across all three. So all three groups are all doing the same program. They're all talking about the same concepts of leadership, and they're all equal. Everything's valued, be it a student, a teacher, a parent, and very nice thing to see in school. So that idea that everybody can talk about the same thing is very unique for us in terms of school.
What I like most about the LIFT program is that it really allowed our students, particularly our TY students, to step up within the school community. It allowed them to use their own voice and to become leaders. But what I particularly liked about it was the relationship it built between the second years and the transition years. There was a trust that was formed. The second years really learned from the TYs by their fantastic behaviour. They modelled really positive behaviour, and they modelled a lot of the values in their everyday interactions with them in the corridors. So it had a bigger impact, not just on what happened in at the round table. We could see it in the corridors, we could see it outside, at lunchtime, and it really, really had a positive influence on the school community.
What I like most about the LIFT program is that it only takes 30 minutes a week, and it's a time for me to self-reflect on myself and my positive thinking.
It creates such a positive attitude for everyone towards everything and affects everyone's life greatly.
It just gives us such a good chance to personally develop as people, students, and as friends as well.
What I like most is the positivity that everybody has gone through it. It's very nice atmosphere and everybody is very kind and helpful to each other.
It helps or allows us as young people to help other young people to develop their leadership skills.
Leadership is important for young people to be part of and to learn about positivity and respect.
I think I like the most that there's no teachers, because having no teachers means that it's a different learning environment from what we're used to, and that means that we can talk to each other and really get to know each other while we do it, which is really important. It's really personal, so you get to know the people that you're going to school with, because it's questions you wouldn't normally talk about, but you get to hear about them when you're there, and you learn a lot from people.
The students benefit most from it, and I just think that it makes a big impact on their lives as much as it does on everyone else's.
The first student that I was trained by was Jeff, who was in the initial program, and I was at a round table with Jeff, and I was completely in awe of his professionalism as he conducted the round table. I literally was wow. And then when we ran it with my second year group, again, I watched all of the different groups being operated by the senior leaders and the younger students looking up to them and listening. And again, I stood back with just huge pride and thought, this is just amazing. So that, I have to say, it's just a pure surge of positivity and a really good feeling.
The way I talk to people, I have seen a difference. The way I approach conversations, I always want to gain something out of it that I never was there before.
I always take my time having conversations with everyone, listen to their point of view, and I feel like I'm calmer now.
I have noticed that I listen more to people, and I notice when I'm not listening to people properly, or I notice if I'm not being as positive as I usually am, and stuff like that.
I feel like I have been able to speak more. Before I was kind of a quiet person, but now I kind of take charge in a lot of things.
I've noticed that I myself have become more confident since doing it, and I think that's really good. So that's all.
We're more open to talk about problems that we're having ourselves, and I think the topics that we discuss help us to be more close.
I've noticed in myself that I'm a lot more positive. I have a much more positive outlook on things, especially like with school and homework.
Yeah, I've been a lot more open to people and being able to talk to people more so easily, and being able to help people through situations that I wouldn't have been able to help with before.
I would definitely like LIFT to continue in my school because it's just spreading positive attitude, and especially with social media nowadays, there's a lot of negativity. So I think we should be pushing more positive thinking.
We're very proud to be the first school involved in LIFT, and I think it's because it's such a fantastic program as well, and we really believe in it. It fits very well in, very well in with our ethos of our school, which is respect for all, and I know that's one of the values. So yeah, we're very proud, and particularly I suppose when we see our students going to some of the ceremonies and they're standing up, or they're doing roundtables with CEOs of major companies, you can really see that they have embodied the actual values and that they really believe in it, and they definitely have shown their actual leadership skills, and they've shown that it has had a serious impact on their lives.
So that'll give you a little bit of an idea of what it was like with our very first school. I'll show you now progress of where we are to date. Let me see where we're at. Okay. So this is our progress. We now have, we're 4 years up and running. We've got about 37% of Ireland's schools are now doing LIFT. We're also in the third level institutions. So we've got 6 of our third level institutions and colleges that are doing LIFT. We have 120 organizations, including our electricity provider, our main mobile phone provider, and many other organizations that are involved, big and small. All our banks are doing LIFT now. The organization that trains the banks are doing LIFT. So yeah, there's a lot of really great big and small organizations that are doing it. We've trained a lot of people. We've 50,000 people now that have been doing round tables. We've assembled a team. There are just 7 of us, but we're able to scale pretty quickly with those 7, which is great. And we've raised about 1.5 million in funding. So we started out 4 years ago, and as Tom said, I just decided we were going to do something about it. And we started 4 years ago, and really it was me on my own until I cajoled a couple of people to come in and do it with me, and then just it was a matter of going to one school, getting them involved. We didn't go near the Department of Education because it would just have been too slow. It's funny because now actually the department has asked to meet with me about what we're doing, which is great. But if we tried to go that way, it would have just been too slow. So we went to one school, and schools started to talk to other schools about it, and the principals started to talk to each other. And we've just kept really firm on our goal that it's important to have positive and ethical leadership through values, and that's really what we're doing. So let me see. Impact-wise, I'll show you a couple of other things. Environmentally, what it does is it develops a greater understanding of our sustainability issues, increases awareness of personal responsibility, which is really important, and it changes behaviour. On the social side, this is important for schools too. It's increasing adolescent wellbeing scores. We have a lot of statistics, a lot of data and research that has been done on LIFT that is showing that wellbeing is increasing in students that are doing LIFT, and it's statistically significant results are what being shown. After just doing 8 of these 30 to 45-minute round tables, it's improving adolescent personal perceptions of control, developing their confidence, their resilience, their maturity. It's really what it's doing as well, is it's giving them a language around things like respect and integrity and empathy and so on, that words that we tend to throw around but may not always understand. Governance, it's really important for us. It's developing an ethical approach to decision making, improving transparency in the country. That's really important. The more people we get to do this, the more we'll be able to call each other out in a good way, and also really insist on good values throughout the country. And in school and community, it's reducing loneliness and isolation. It really connects people. I've had parents that have called me to say that they're, that their children are were on suicide watch or were involved in suicide watch and things like this. And that by doing the Lift roundtables, in a round table with everybody, you're not allowed comment on what anybody else says at all. So it becomes a very safe space, and everybody gets equal voice in the round table. That's part of the training that we do with people. So it means that students they can hear that other people are going through the same issues that they're going through. So it's a really positive experience in that way. Now that's the same for students as it is for adults. And I'll show you some of the responses of what adults have said about it also. It improves the classroom environment, it builds values-based communities. And, really, I don't know if you talk about this here, but in staff classrooms, we often have those teachers that hide behind their newspapers. I don't know if you describe it like that, but that's how we describe it. Teachers that describe behind their newspapers, and they're getting curious about what it is that the other teachers in staff rooms are doing. So it is really helping with morale and building and increasing trust, because there is a level of vulnerability involved in the groups of being vulnerable, but it's done in a very safe way. It also can really help everyone to better understand their school vision or their organizational vision and reflect on and live your values. So if you've got a value of, and it may be something different to R8 in Lift, but it may be bravery or courage or something like that. What we do is that we help the organization to take their values off the walls and to put them into roundtables so that they can really live them. We're witnessing real change with this, and we're working with the universities to measure the impact on this. In the top left-hand corner there, that's the adult population. That would include teachers and principals that are in there, but 97% of adults are improving their understanding of what good leadership is. That it's not about fast car, lots of money or anything like that. It's about who you are on the inside. That's what good leadership is. And 83% of adults are experiencing real positive change in how they lead. And it's not that people are just ticking a box to say, yes, I'm changing. They're giving us examples of where they are changing. And that's what's really important. On the top right-hand corner, then, that's the research that we've been doing on those engaged with Lift long term, with nearly 100% of them saying that Lift has had a meaningful impact over the long term. 70% are saying, I already know that this impact is a lasting one, but 25% are saying we're not sure yet, and 5% saying no, I don't think it's lasting. So 70% is good enough for me. When I was giving up my job to start Lift, I thought if I get somewhere between 15 and 30%, that'll be good enough. So to be up at 70%, it's brilliant. Our university students, again, similarly, they're saying that, look, this is making a difference to how I'll think and act in the future, and they are seeing examples of positive change. And in our schools also, the secondary school students we're changing the narrative in the country on what good leadership is. That it's about character, it's about values, it's about strong character. That we want to follow leaders that are leading in a way that have got integrity, that have got honesty and integrity, that have got respect for themselves as well as for other people, that are uniting people and not dividing people. And that's what really good leadership is, and that's what this is about. So this is what some of the adults then are saying about Lift. Excuse me a minute while I move everybody's faces out of the way. So Lift impact this is what they're saying. These are just a sample. We have thousands of these examples, but let me just give you a few that one of the team just picked off a list. So I've learned to accept my mistakes and learn from them. I'm more mindful of people and what others might be going through at any given time. I'm now taking more responsibility for my decisions and my actions and owning up to my mistakes. I try as much as possible to work towards excellence, and I've become a better person. I'm more empathetic and I've improved my listening skills. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are actually, because of Lift, now stopping and really thinking about things. Young people are saying Lift has made me a better person. After reading and thinking about the weekly topics, it's been on my mind how I act and if I'm being the best version of myself. Been more positive over the last few weeks and have expressed my feelings more. I'll be more myself rather than trying to be someone else in front of my friends. I've tried to be more positive and start coming to school more often, and I've become more honest with people and they're starting to trust me more. So these are the samples just of things that students are saying anonymously after going through Lift. So what we're about is really about strengthening Ireland's future leaders as well as our current leaders. It's interesting, when we started LIFT in the first place, everybody kept saying to me, you've got to do this with our young people. You must do it with our young people. But the thing about it is that we as adults are modeling this to our young people. So we started off with the adults, and it was really important that we started off in organizations with teachers, with principals, and then moved to young people after that. And that's the way we decided to do it. But in Ireland, what's going to happen is that students had been doing at age 16, and they had been going in and doing roundtables then with the 14-year-olds. But from last month, September, students are now doing it at age 12 to age 18, all through our, what we call secondary school. It's like your high school, but they're doing it every year. So we have a sample of schools doing it every year to see how that goes this year. So that they will build their leadership muscle every year through school. They'll go on to third level or college or wherever they go on to next, and they will do it again in university, and then they'll do it again when they go into their workplaces or whatever they decide to do. So by continuously doing these roundtables, we'll strengthen the leadership muscle of our nation, which is what we're all about. These are the 8 that we have for the nation. And thank you very much. I have gone through a whistle-stop tour of LIFT and what it's all about, but let me just hand over to you and let you ask some questions, and let's just chat.
I love it. Oh, I've got lots of questions, but folks can either put them in the chat, but I was just really, writing down, because I just like the framework that we've got. I've identified a problem, right? And part of that problem is you realized, I'm really living out my purpose here. I mean, I know I'm doing good things, but can I do more? And then create a vision of what that, it could be. And I just love that you went to the people, right? And I just kind of wrote in my notes, hey, yeah, like a climate survey in your school or in your organization. How are people feeling? Like, what's the current reality? And let them tell you what they think the problems are, instead of this top down, like, well, this is what we're telling you the problems are, or this is what the solution is. And then you set your goals, right? You have created a plan. Now, I'm, super curious, where did the roundtable, like, have you ever been part of a roundtable? And I'll be honest, the first roundtable I was a part of, I was 29 years old. And I know this isn't the best example, but, I'm a recovering addict. And it was in a roundtable conversation through this little yellow book that talked about words like honesty and humility. And at almost 30 years old, I never had conversations about that, I don't think, except, maybe, when I was in elementary school. But it really got me thinking about, that's the first steps of transformation, is to actually have a conversation and define what we want, right? And what we see these words. What does honesty mean in our organization? What are really our core values more than just words on paper? So how did you kind of move into that idea, right? Of this is going to be the strategy? Yep.
Yes, so that's a good question. So I had decided that we were going to LIFT Ireland. I had decided that in March 2017 and decided we were going to launch it in 2018. And I thought what we were going to do was run training programs and masterminds and things like that all over the country. But I ended up going with John Maxwell to Paraguay. About 45 of us went to Paraguay that September. And I saw them using a roundtable process there. I went to the originators. At the time, John Maxwell, he would go to mostly a third world country and help out a third world country to help them out. I went to the originators of the process, and I asked them, I said, look, I want to do this in my country. We don't need anybody else to help us. We're pretty well educated here. We know what we're doing. They gave me permission to use the process. So it's a 5-step process. And the process is that you read an article, it's a 2-page article about listening or about respect or about positive attitude. And then the second stage is that you pull out one sentence that really resonates with you. And then you go through a small self-evaluation process, which is, okay, in the last 24 hours, how good have I been at this? So you're looking for where you've been good, but you're also looking for creases in your behavior. Now, the real genius of it is that it's just 24 hours, because I can be a 0 at listening in 24 hours. It doesn't make me a bad person. It just means I just obviously was too busy and wasn't paying attention enough. So, and also with something like, say, respect, nobody wants to think of themselves as being disrespectful, but yet we all do it. We might cut across somebody, somebody might roll their eyes. We might be in a meeting and acknowledge one person and not not acknowledge another one in the same way. And, you know, respect starts to feel like it's dropping, and then trust crumbles and all these other things happen. So in the process, you rate yourself just for the last 24 hours. And then you also think of somebody that you know that is really good at this. So you're positioning in your head somebody who's really modeling it. So I saw this process in Paraguay. We went to the originators of it and asked them, could I use it? And then we then developed our own materials for Ireland, because it was really important to us that this was Ireland doing this, and that we were doing it and it was fit for purpose for Ireland, that it wasn't coming from another country. So that was important. So we did take one or two of their articles at the beginning, but now we write all our own for it. But that's where I saw it. So I thought it was training programs and masterminds, but when I went to Paraguay, by the time I had landed on the plane home from Paraguay, I'd mapped out exactly what we were going to do. I knew we were going to do it that way.
I love it. So if you didn't catch this, everybody, the how changed, right? It's fall in love, marry the mission, you date the plan. The plan originally is, oh, we're gonna do mastermind groups. Oh no, we're gonna do this idea because this idea works. And I'm trying to think, because I went to Paraguay too, but I don't know if we went to the same time. I'll have to look at my dates, and maybe you're in one of one of the pictures I took. But that was it. That was a transformational trip. Absolutely.
Yeah. It was. I think another thing as well was that in the hotel in Paraguay, there was a big map of the world on the wall, and it was made out of steel, and Ireland had been left off the map. And I was sort of there going, you've got to be joking. I was only 2 Europeans on the trip, and I was thinking, how did you leave our whole country off the map? And I remember contacting my team in Ireland and going, look, they left it on the map. My team started sending me sort of chanting texts going, get Ireland back on that map. So I drew a picture of Ireland, put it on the map. And I think that probably nearly was a sign to me that actually I have to do something in Ireland. But absolutely, I fell in love with the vision, but the how completely changed, because I actually thought, Tom, that I was going to run Lift through the Entrepreneurs Academy. And we were going to do training and everything through the Entrepreneurs Academy, but then had to turn around to the Entrepreneurs Academy and say, not only are we not doing that, but I'm off. I'm actually going to set up this not-for-profit completely separate. And I needed to separate myself from that company so that it didn't look like I was setting up Lift to benefit the company, which wouldn't have been ethical to do. So it did change.
So everybody here who's a school leader, they have core values at their school, right? So, but what you and I had talked about is that there's an opportunity that we could actually learn from your team on how to do these roundtables. That's so. Because I'm going to be the first one to sign our team up. So what's an opportunity we have to actually take the core values of what we've got, and how can you help us create transformation here?
Absolutely, Tom. So we would love, if your group would like, we will take you in groups of 5, and we will do a roundtable with you so that you can experience it. So it's 45 minutes. If it's online, it's about 45 minutes. If it's face-to-face, it's 35 minutes. So 45 minutes, and we will take you all through a roundtable so you can experience it yourselves. Because I actually think as a group, as you are, it would really benefit you all to go through the roundtables. You'll build trust, you'll strengthen your own leadership, it'll increase community. It's just so beneficial in a really simple way. So we'd be happy to do that. So we could take you through one, and if you want to continue, we'll take you through a whole set of them. You could choose the ones that are relevant to your group, because the ones that are for our country, look, they're pretty standard. I imagine that there's the same for the US in respect and integrity and positive attitude, all these great things, but you guys can choose.
Yeah, so there's an opportunity. So they can just email you. Is that the next step? Is that the next easiest step? I put your email address, or they can go through me, or
yeah, I think probably better if they go through you and you just pick up how many people you have, and we'll take them in levels of 4 and 5, and we'll just get this set up for you.
I love it. And then we're going to make a donation to Lift Ireland to make that happen. So I'll send out some info about how everybody can do that. So whether you're listening live, right, or on the recording, because we're going to put you on our podcast and our YouTube page. And isn't it amazing? We had someone from, I hope I say it right, Kildare. They were in the Zoom. Did you see them? Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah, so yep, they just had to drop off, but there's a note in the chat there. She said she's going to, she said that, they're going to reach out to you. So Nemea, I think, I'm not sure if that's the right way to say it. Yeah, it's really cool. Yep.
NIAM is Niamh. Yeah, excellent. I saw the Irish name coming in all right. I was thinking that I just assumed they were in the US. That's fantastic. I'm in Kildare as well.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So here we go. They had to go through the virtual cycle to get to you, and they're in the same town. So that'll be a great opportunity. So I'll reach out to everybody, or you can just email me in the subject line and just put Lift Ireland in there or Values Roundtable, and I'll make sure that we organize that. And maybe we could do something every, even every couple of months and have it an ongoing, a training where, we could do that. And then we're all going to come to Ireland. I think it's because Joanne's already asked me 9 times, and I've told my wife we are going. I said, well, it'll be a business fun trip. Maybe we can do some transformation roundtables there in Ireland and see the amazing setting. So, Joanne, I'm just really appreciative of you to take this time. I know it's evening there, and you have made a big impact on me. You've made me rethink a lot of the stuff that we're doing. And I'm just really blessed to have, someone who has a really giant picture type, vision there that I can learn from. And I'm just, when I think about our charter schools here, are like independent schools or even our school, systems, sometimes we think there's just no way I'm going to be able to do this, but you have to think big and just start small, right? And it could just be one table, right? You could just start one table in your building, and that one table can, create this massive impact. It's the law of multiplication. It's just those 5 people go out and impact 5 more people. And then now you're up to 25, and then you got 25 more, and it's 125. I mean, that's really where it comes from. And that's how you're moving from 0% to 10%, now to 37%. And that's all it is. And the word of mouth is going to what, makes it happen, everybody. So you got to start there. So don't think that it's too big. It's not too big. If you thought about it, it can occur. It's just a matter of, okay, well, what's my first step? And having a conversation around, values is that first step.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks again, everybody. Let's, thank Joanne for her time, and feel free to email her and, reach out. And so Sarah's got a lunch duty. The perfect place to start having roundtable conversations might be during a lunch duty. So thanks again, everybody. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks again, Joanne.